Ladies and germs, there's a new show on the block. What's going on, everyone? It's Ty the TV Guy here, back with a video today about the new Apple TV Plus series Pluribus, created by Vince Gilligan, who of course is the creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, back with the same lead actress from Better Call Saul as well, Rhea Seehorn, who is playing the main character Carol, where she played Kim Wexler in Better Call Saul. And so it's very exciting on that front that there's a lot of familiarity with the pieces involved in this show. It even has a setting in Albuquerque, New Mexico, just like the other shows, but it is its own concept and idea. It's not like another spin-off from those two series that he previously created. And after much anticipation and not many details being released about the show beforehand, we finally got the first 2 episodes before our weekly release cycle starts here every Friday, last Friday, November 7th. And so I just wanted to give my thoughts in reaction to the first couple episodes, do a little bit of a recap, and then share with you kind of my feelings toward it so far. Before I get into my review of Pluribus episodes 1 and 2, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more TV content. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers, so anything helps and I appreciate it. But okay, where do I begin with this show? It is quite the handful, I must admit, as the first episode, though it does get off to a relatively slow start, like the first 20 minutes, as it is kind of some exposition, building up the storyline and the universe rather quickly, I may add, but still, I guess it does technically start slow for like the first 20 minutes, but I kind of forgot all about that given the last 30 to 40 minutes of this first episode and how hectic, and it's just one big heart attack, essentially, the entire time for the last half or even more of the episode. To review some of the things that happen, it starts off with some NASA employees kind of picking up on this signal and not knowing exactly what it is at first, but apparently it's like an RNA sequence being communicated from 600 plus light years away, and then from this RNA sequence, they start doing tests on it, experiments with these rats in a lab, and so everything is contained in that way until a worker in that lab takes off her glove and is bitten by one of these rats and has a pretty immediate reaction to this virus that the rats were being tested with, and it is transmitted to her pretty immediately, and then she has like a innate instinct immediately from that point on to spread it to everyone. And so this thing spreads like a wildfire. The inhabitants of this virus obviously like instinctually feel like they need to spread it. So that's an important facet of this virus, I guess you could say, that like there's an intelligence behind it that wants to spread it immediately. And so this started spreading very quickly, and as we get explained to us later on, once the military found out, the spreaders of the virus knew they had to take quick action to get it to everyone possible, because apparently that's the goal behind this, that everyone becomes infected by this. And so it was basically like dropped from planes above that our main character Carol and her wife at the time, Helen, see, and then that quickly falls down upon like the whole population of the world, and everyone becomes infected by this quote-unquote virus. And so that's essentially the come-up story of this. They don't really hide any details in like the process of how this is discovered. You know, they're not trying to keep a lot of that information from us initially early on, it seems, and so that's an interesting aspect of this. Now, once everyone begins shaking and convulsing in episode 1, and Carol just looks around and runs around frantically to try to get help for her wife, soon to realize that everyone is having the same reaction except her, that's when things obviously get really hectic and scary as the viewer. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat from that point forward, and the cinematography gets to an elite level early on in this episode as well. As soon as she starts driving this truck, there's so many good shots, and not to mention there's just so many moments where my expectations are shattered, whether it's something I didn't think that was going to happen that happened, or something I expected to happen that didn't happen. For instance, as she was driving away from that saloon with Helen in the back seat, I was thinking that Helen was going to wake up in the back seat and it was going to like really scare Carol, but that never happened. But then numerous other things throughout this episode did happen that were quite creepy. And so some more things that we learned down the line. First of all, Helen does pass away in Carol's arms, and the acting by Rhea Seehorn here I think is immaculate, and that continues throughout these first 2 episodes, of course. I think she nails this role already, and I'll get back to that discussion in a minute because there's some mixed feelings online about her character, I think. But back to the plot of episode 1. After Helen dies, she attempts to just drive away with Helen's body, but when all of the people stop convulsing in the hospital, the people who didn't pass away, they walk out and start looking off into the distance, essentially. And then when Carol tries to talk to the doctor, says, hey, like tries to wake him up and everything, he turns around, grabs her in the face, and kisses her, right? Because this is the method of how they're instinctually spreading the disease. And then she's like, what the F is wrong with you? And she just drives away. And then this is where we discover, essentially, that it's a hive mind type of deal, where they're all in unison, they're all essentially the same. It's kind of like coordinated zombies, except not like fleshy version of zombies, just like regular people, but now they're all connected, and they go, sorry, Carol, we're just trying to help. And so that is hair-raising and creepy in itself. And so she drives away frantically. She gets home, and then it just snowballs from there. There's kids that walk out that are also part of this hive mind, because once again, at this point, we think Carol's the only person unaffected by it. We soon learn that it's her and 11 others throughout the world. But these kids, when she gets home, know exactly where her key is, which we don't understand until episode 2. And then she goes inside for this absurd and bewildering scene with this government official on her TV that is having a press conference just for her. Like, the whole thing is directed to Carol. It's crazy, something I've never really seen before. And essentially the whole meeting is just him saying that they want to help Carol. They're going to help her solve this and figure it out so she can join them, because it is wonderful what has happened to him and the rest of the world being under the control of this virus that, makes it so that they're all happy. There's no more people in prison. There's no more people suffering, stuff of that nature. So this is apparently like the cure to all things bad. And of course, Carol sees the evil in this and how it kind of takes the individuality and humanity out of things. Not to mention, it was just an awful scene in which she lost the person she's closest to, and she soon finds out many other people in the world died as a result of this as well. And man, episode 1 was spectacular. I mean, this is one of the best pilot episodes for a TV show that I've seen. I mean, I'm still early in my TV watching journey, I guess you could say. Like, I'm not like the most well-watched person, even though I have a channel on it. I'm passionate about the shows I've watched. I'm not claiming to have watched everything like I normally say, but from what I've seen, this is really one of the best. And it was amazing, and quickly getting to the point about what the mystery is going to be here, but laying out a lot of the facts early on, which I think is kind of going against the grain somewhat in terms of how the information in this virus was presented at such face value. But now it's really about how it progresses and about how Carol continues to interact with it that's going to be so interesting down the line. But getting into the second episode, which I think was still good, not like as spectacular as the first one, but understandably so. It started with the bang. Now we're getting a little more grounded. Carol is still grappling with the loss of her wife, of course, trying to bury her in the backyard, things of that nature. And she begins actually interacting with the hive mind, one of the members of the hive mind, who is like a replicated version of a character from one of the books she wrote. And I'm going to do a more of an explanation on my thoughts on Carol and her profession and everything like that. But essentially, the character was supposed to be a female in the book. And so they flew someone from wherever she's from that looks like the character from her book, except a female version, as she originally had planned to make it. And that is the person that they have talking to her, I guess, to make her feel most comfortable and most willing to be vulnerable with the individual that they send to her. And, she calls out the crap from the beginning, is like, why the heck does this look exactly like the person from my book? And she finds that creepy, which it is. But essentially, she soon comes to realize that this is going to be very mentally challenging for her. First of all, she just lost her wife. Of course, the world is in shambles right now, and it's being rebuilt by all of these people with their new infection. Not only is the world like overtaken now by like this virus that was, sent from an RNA sequence from 600 plus light years away, and that's already mind-boggling enough. But the people that she's interacting with at face value are actually nice to her and are actually expressing concern for her well-being. And so it's difficult for her to turn down some of their help and support. At first, they offer her a bottle of water and she dumps it out like, no, I'm not going to take help from you. But eventually they offer to dig a little bit for her, and she kind of gets out of the way and allows them to do that. They offer other assistance, including connecting her with the other 11 people around the world that also were unaffected by the spread of this virus, just like Carol. And so it's an interesting dynamic, because even though she's really against what has happened, of course, and thinks that she and the other people that are unaffected have to save the world from this, she kind of like relies on them simultaneously to get this done, because even though this is harmful to humanity and a lot of harm has been done to her personally and the world at large, they're like her only hope for finding other people to try to take it down, and for just staying afloat in her personal life at the moment as well, and trying to navigate this new world order. So, man, it's an interesting dynamic. And getting to the other main important point of episode 2, it is when she flies out and meets the other members of, well, not the other members, the other people in the world that were unaffected by this virus as well. And of the first 2 episodes, this was definitely the most disappointing aspect of things for me, because these people just had really weird reactions and takes on the situation. Most of them seemed all right with it, right? When she gets on a plane with them in the situation room and they're kind of having a discussion, Carol's like, okay, so what are we going to do about this? How are we going to reverse course here? And they all just seem to be like, what's the problem? And she's like, there's like aliens or whatever taking over our world. We're the only ones left that are normal and aren't connected mentally. Don't you guys see a problem with that? Like, our family is gone. The world will never be the same unless we can somehow fix this. And they're all like, our family's still here. Like, it's still them. We think everything's okay. There's no more death. There's no more destruction. There's no more people in jail. There's no more tragedy. Everyone's happy and nice. And she's like, don't you guys see the insanity in this? Your family members aren't really them. You don't want to become them. And it is really surprising to see the other characters feel this way. And I'm not sure if we'll get like a deeper dive into why that is, or if we just kind of have to take it. I don't know. It was a bit strange to me, and I was disappointed that like she met with 5 other English-speaking people that also were unaffected, and none of them had similar feelings to her about the situation. Seems a little like unrealistic to me. Like, really, like this catastrophic of a thing and change in the world just happened a couple of days back, and they're all like adjusting to it so well and not thinking much of it. It just seems a little crazy to me. I'm not sure what all of you thought about it. I'm not sure if it's because they're from different backgrounds. Maybe they were from different situations in life, so seeing everyone be nice like this is better than what they saw of the world. And of course, there's a lot of imperfection in the world, but that's part of what makes it great and meaningful to live, which I think is the core of what Carol argues here, of course, and I think the most reasonable people and us viewers probably think as well, but the other characters disagree. So I thought that was a bit strange and weird that not one person like supported her and agreed and has like a passion for fixing this. They all just think she's evil for, I guess, yelling at these affected people of the hive mind, and apparently killing people with her outbursts, although unintentionally. I mean, she's just reasonably showing anger, which kind of like glitches the system, which is an odd detail as well. But so this is my summary, and so now I'm going to get into my thoughts. I'm going to start out with Carol, the character, specifically. And so, of course, the past few days since I've watched, I've been following the discourse online about this show, and one of the main things is that Carol is an unlikable main character, and wow, I just disagree with that. I mean, first of all, I've loved Rhea Seehorn's performance throughout, as I mentioned, where she is in live time reacting to the loss of Helen. That's really moving. All the scenes where she's had to be frightened and panicking, driving away or encountering these infected people have been really scintillating scenes and kept me on the edge of my seat as intended. And then when she met up with the people in the Situation Room and on that private jet, I thought her acting there was very stern and she had control of the scenes, I think, and it was just so good. So I've loved the acting performance. I think the character herself is really interesting as well. She's clearly an alcoholic. That's pointed to us just because even just in the first episode itself, we see her drinking on multiple occasions with Helen before the outbreak, and then also seems to drink her sorrows away at the end of the night. You can tell by her drinking habits, and also that the car that they had a breathalyzer machine in it. So it appears to start the car, you had to like blow into it to assure you weren't over the legal, limit for alcohol in your system. And so that's an interesting aspect of her character as well, and how she seems like depressed and unhappy with who she is in her work. And I guess that might play into what has made her immune in a way to the spreading of this happy virus. And so it'll be interesting to see that explored and explained a bit more as the season moves forward as to why her and the others weren't affected by this. But the suspicion is because of her background and her profession, and maybe some underlying issues she has. Now, how are those so unique that only 12 people total in the world react in the same way? That remains to be seen, but that's kind of the synopsis of it and my take on it so far. As for the plot, I don't think it's unprecedented, but still the way they attack it and have approached it so far is super unique, I would say. It is kind of reminiscent. I'm not sure if I'm going to get any overlap in the audience for these shows here on the viewership for this video, but if anyone has ever seen Rick and Morty, the Unity concept from that show, the couple episodes with Unity, where Unity is basically just this planet that Rick goes to with this big hive mind of people. The main Unity person is like this woman that he like dates and makes out with and whatever. But really, the whole planet is her. They all share their mental, I don't know how else to put it. It's a hive mind. And so it reminds me of that. And of course, there's the virus spreading aspect of it too. And we actually see that on screen here. And so, and like the way they march around, it kind of reminds me of like a zombie apocalypse, except they're not zombies and they're not mean or trying to eat you. They're being nice to you. They're welcoming you. They're saying, we'll get you anything you need. So it's an interesting dynamic where obviously Carol is scared of them and hates what is going on, obviously mourning the loss of her wife at this point as well. But despite being scared of them, interacting with them in itself isn't the worst, because they're nice and trying to like convince her that this is where happiness lies. This is the future for the world. And so it's really interesting. I'm just, super fascinated with the concept of the show. Like I said, it's not like completely like the most original concept I've ever seen, because it's kind of reminiscent of other things, a couple I've mentioned here, but largely it has a different spin on it for sure. But man, I love the pacing of these first couple episodes. Like I mentioned earlier, I love the cinematography. There's multiple shots from like the dashboard of the vehicle or like right in front of the car as it pulls up that I thought were really cool and unique. Perfectly shot scenes in that saloon when Rhea Seehorn walks back in, or Carol I should say, walks back in trying to find a phone for help, soon to realize that everyone is infected once again, like I said earlier. The scenes in the second episode where she's kind of going to meet the people and going to different parts of the plane, I just thought everything was put together so well and paced really well. And so I've loved just the viewing experience as well. Nothing has dragged. It has been like the blink of an eye because the action was so constant, especially in episode 1. And yeah, just so clearly already through 2 episodes, this world has been built, and it's kind of like the battle between these two sides now of the people remaining of whether this is a utopia or a dystopia. And that battle of ideologies and which one will prevail is yet to be seen. Even if it's determined by all of them that this is a dystopia, which it seems like Carol's the only one that feels that way as of now, I don't know how she's going to reverse course on this. It seems pretty hopeless. Of course, I'm guessing that there will be a way just because there's a show about it. So I'd hope she has a fighting chance to help regain control of the world and like not let it fall down this rabbit hole forever. But yeah, I definitely think it's kind of like that classic scenario of, is this a utopia or a dystopia? And the last thing I want to talk about here is the end of the second episode and where I think things could be going moving forward. So after Carol's second outburst that affected the family members of some of the unaffected people that were at this gathering at this beautiful venue, when she once again yelled at them to get the F away from her and everything like that, because once again, I think she's actually having a reasonable reaction to this, but they, like I said, do have, that convulsing reaction anytime she has these outbursts, which is super interesting that they're so affected by her. But anyway, after that, everybody basically decides to leave, fly back home. They're just going to go back and live amongst this for now, apparently, and not try to attack the issue like Carol thinks they should. The only one who doesn't leave is the gentleman at the end of the table, pictured here, and he is arguably the worst of them all, because not only is he like indifferent to this happening, he actually seems to like love this change in the world, because now he can just like go out and get any woman he wants because they're just going to do whatever they can to please him, which is pretty messed up here. And so the reason this is relevant is because the character that ends up being in the middle of them, which is Zosia, I think her name is, the one that I was talking about earlier that is from Carol's book, of course, and was made to appeal to her. She is faced with like a decision to go either with him and please him, essentially, or to go with Carol. And Carol's like, do what you want, go with him if you want. And she originally says that, she couldn't make this decision because if she chooses one over the other, it will make the one she doesn't choose unhappy, and that goes against this like new hive mind species way, right? They don't want to make anyone unhappy. They're here to please everyone, of course. That's the nature of this virus. And I think what Carol realizes when she gets on the plane to leave is that she never gave like full and definite approval for Zosia to go on the other plane with that man, but Zosia boards that other flight anyway. Maybe giving Carol the thought here that this species does have the ability to choose, even if they claim that they don't, and that they wouldn't want to negatively affect her with that decision. And so I think that's what she may have thought about there when she runs off the plane, gets in front of the other moving plane on the runway, and puts her hands up to stop. I think that may be what's going on here. That's my take on it. And we'll have to see how this progresses moving forward. But yeah, that's essentially what I wanted to say about these first couple episodes. I really enjoyed it. I would give the first episode like a 10 out of 10. Legit, it was that good. I'd give the second episode like 7.5, 7.8. There you have it. That's my summary and thoughts of the first two episodes of Pluribus, streaming now on Apple TV Plus. And there's new episodes coming out every Friday, so I'm probably going to post some weekly updates on my thought on the previous episode. I don't anticipate them all to be as long as this. I did want to make a longer video here to kind of fully review the first two episodes, at least somewhat fully. I know that I didn't go into enough detail here probably for how long this video is, but whatever. And then I wanted to also give some of my initial thoughts. The next videos will probably be a bit shorter in nature, just kind of giving my thoughts, a little bit less explanation and background, because it won't be as needed. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Like I said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed my analysis and breakdown here. Otherwise, peace out.